Hello there, everyone. How are you? Happy Higher Self Wednesday. I hope you are just doing fantastic today. I love these Higher Self Wednesdays. I love being able to communicate my experience, strength, and hope with you and having you share back with me, how the teaching of the steps have been working for you. It's just great. I just love these Higher Self Wednesdays. I'm Karen White, and I am the author of this book, Changing Your Game Plan, which is my 12-step journey of how I work the steps. I always say this is my experience, strength, and hope, so take what you like and leave the rest. But this is a great workbook. It is how I work the steps with over 4 sponsors in both sides of this room. I'm in the addictive side as well as I'm in the non-addictive side in this room. And the 4 sponsors that I had that helped change my life and continue to help change my life, I used the program that they taught me, and I've been using it for hundreds, maybe even 1,000 people now, teaching them how to work the steps and how to work the steps in their lives to change their lives. It is a wonderful, wonderful workbook. It is I should know this by now, 55 pages long. It is a workbook. It's meant to work with your sponsor, a clergyman, your therapist. It is not something that you can work this alone because the steps are not made for you to work alone. So if you want to purchase it, remember that you are going to have to purchase 2 so you can work it with your sponsor or have your sponsors purchase one, and then you guys can work the program together. It's awesome. I only use 4 books to work the steps. I use the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which I don't care what program you're in, you need the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous because that is where the original 12 steps were created, and that is the guideline to how to work the steps. I also use the AA 12 and 12. I use the Al-Anon 12 and 12 and the ODAD. And those 4 books were the only books that we had back in the days when I came in, really, with a couple of more. And I've been using them forever, and I continue to use them forever. It's available on Amazon.com, so you can go out there and order it. It's on Kindle as well as it is in the hard copy. And the good thing about the hard copy, you do have notes in the back, so you have note pages back here, so you're able to write things down and everything. It's just a fabulous book. Anyway, happy Wednesday. I am so excited. I get so excited about these Wednesdays because I have to prepare, and I have enjoyed myself preparing for you. And God, have I learned so much in going back over the literature consistently. The one thing I want to say to you, because I know a lot of you have been emailing me and stuff, yes, I'm available to speak at any of your meetings. If I am not speaking somewhere else or I'm not have another appointment, I would love to speak. I have met so many of you on Zoom and speaking at other groups and everything. If you have to reach me, the only way you can reach me is Programchild.net. There's a contact form in there. Fill it out, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I can speak at your conferences or whatever you would like to have me speak at if I'm available. So let's get started. This is about, this is a learning thing. We are on step 9. Can you believe it? I am so excited. Step 9. Anybody that has seen all the previous videos, you know how I work the steps, and this is in changing the game plan. One of the things that I say in here is that I believe that we 12-step people are people that we have to understand what we're doing. And the only way we can do that is by figuring out what these steps are trying to say to us. So one of the things that I always have people that I sponsor do when they're working the steps is go in and look up every single word in that step. Go in the different dictionary and look up every single word, write it down, and we go over every single word in the step so that we will understand what the step is trying to create for us and what the step is trying to do. These words are so powerful. Dr. Bob and Bill did not put these words like this for no reason at all. They didn't start these sentences like this for no reason at all. They precisely knew just how to write these steps, and they're awesome. So if you're working the steps, and you always should look up every single word in this step. Step 9 says, may direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And made, it starts off by saying made, which means produced or manufactured by constructing, shaping, or forming. And that's so powerful that it starts off like that, because you cannot work these steps. You cannot work the 9th step until you work 1 through 8. Remember, these steps are not to jump around. They are making, I always say, it's making a cake, and you cannot leave out any of the ingredients. So you have to go one step at a time to get to this point. And when you get here, you have been shaped. It says made. And it's I love that it starts off like that, because it constructs, shape, or forming. And by that time, you have been made. You have been remade. You're at step 8. Oh, you're getting ready to do step 9. Trust me, you're going to feel like, what happened? And then the next word says direct, to cause to move toward a goal, to cause to move in or follow a straight course. I love direct in this word, because I had to get on I was like this when I came in the program. And both sides of this room, whenever you come in, you're just a mess. You're just a mess. You can't stop. You can't control it. You're out of hand. Your thinking's messed up. And these steps put us on a very straight path. They show us what we have to do to get better and to take care of ourselves. Amends means recompense for grievance or injury. To means in a direction towards, so as to reach towards. Isn't that powerful too? A direction towards, so as to reach. I love that. Such, so, very, to such a degree. People, humans, considered as a group or an indefinite number. Family, relatives, or friends. Isn't that powerful? And, I always say, in these steps, you're going to always have we, us, them, they. These steps let you know you cannot do this alone, and that there are millions of people out here like you. Whatever, no matter where. No matter where. Possible. Capable of favorable development potential. Except, unless. Isn't that funny? Except, unless. When, at the time that. At the time that. To, in a direction towards, such as to reach. Do, to fulfill the requirements of. Can you imagine these words? Aren't they so powerful? So, to the amount or degree expressed or understood to such an extent. Would, used to express presumption or expectation. Injure, to commit an injustice or offense against, wrong. Them refers to things or people other than the person addressed. Or, a logical operator that returns a true value if one or both operands are true. Isn't that powerful? When you look at this, you go, wow. Other, being the remaining ones of several. So powerful. And today I'm going to do, we're going to jump into the big book, and of course we're going to study this from the big book because that's where we're starting, because this is the first of step 9. But I do want to discuss with you a little bit about what step 9 is and what the purpose is of step 9. First of all, you cannot have the feeling and be prepared for step 9 unless you work 1 through 8. And now step 9 is the final step to me in the journey of learning how to take care of yourself from this point on, and how to correct things that you do, how to restart things. This is what the steps teach us, their tools, how to prepare for things. So now, if you haven't seen the videos on step 8, go back to step 8. We made the list. We only made the list. We only talked about the list, and it's really powerful if you haven't seen the step 8 videos. But now we're here. And it says, may direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And this is so important because you have to be guided on how to make these amends. And that's why you have the step 8 there, because the step 8 is like the guideline to preparing you to make these types of amends that you're getting ready to make. Because these amends are very important to your sanity. You have been feeling guilty about so many things and misled by your part of what you've done in so many things. And so you need this step here to take the actions so that you can be relieved from some of the guilt and the shame that you have been feeling about the things that you didn't even know that you were wrong in. Most of the things that my sponsor came up with, I didn't even realize that I had really done that, because we can't see ourselves the way that we are. That's why we need sponsorship. That's why we need these rooms. That's why we need this type of program, so that these people can help us stay clear to what we're doing and who we are. So now you're getting ready to make these amends. And one of the things that you're preparing, most of the amends that you're going to be doing at this point, and this is my experience, strength, and hope, and this is how I work the step, are the amends that you have written letters for, and you have already, and in step 8, discussed them with your sponsor, and your sponsor have determined that these letters are ready to go. And now you're here. You're ready to make these amends. So now you have all these letters, and you have, or how many? I think I had 13 letters the first time that I had to make. I had 13 people that I had to find, contact, hope and pray that they wanted to talk to me, and get it done. And so once you have these letters in your hand and you're ready, your sponsor is going to lead you to start making these appointments so you can make these amends. And so the important thing is that right now you have determined what amends that you're going to make whenever possible, meaning as soon as you can set the appointments or whenever it's possible to get them done. Now, with me, I think that you should get them done as soon as you can, because you don't want to sit on these too long. I do not go on to step 10 with anybody that I sponsor until they finish these amends, because it's very important that we finish the steps and then before we move into the other step. So you make the appointments as best as you can. Some of them you can't make. Some you might have people that don't want to talk to you anymore, and that's okay. You've done your best, and trust me, your higher power, which I choose to call God today, will definitely give you the peace of mind that you were ready to do this, and they did not want to talk to you. But there are the ones that you have to make the amends to. And I love it because it says, except when to do so would injure them or others. And remember, the others are you. You're in that others. So you can't make amends. That's why step 8 is so important, because step 8 will help you determine the list of these people that you're getting ready to make amends to, whether it will injure them or it will injure you and others. So by this time, you're ready. You got these amends letters. You're making these appointments, and here we go. I started mine with the family. My sponsor had me to start with all the family, the mom, the dads, your family members, whoever they are, your spouse, whoever they are. Those were the ones that I started with. I started with the big group first, and I started making appointments, and I started to make these amends. Now, I talked about in step 8 how these amends goes and why they're so important, that they go like this. You start these amends with the fact that I was wrong. Will you forgive me for da 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 da? It's not you go in there, I'm sorry for doing that. No, the reason we replace sorry with wrongs, and the reason the big book states wrongs and don't state sorries, is because it's something about the word wrong. When you do take on that word and you realize that you were wrong, it corrects your behavior. Because people, when they see their wrongs, when they say they're sorry, sometimes with us, we think, oh, we're sorry. We didn't mean to do that. It's over. But when you say you're wrong, you have to take responsibility for that action, and it changes you. So that's why you use the word. You don't say, I'm sorry. At least if I sponsor you, you don't. You say, I was wrong, and then you ask for forgiveness at that point, because what we're doing with that is we're correcting our behavior. We're correcting the fact, number one, I don't want to do this again. But if it happens, okay, that's what 10, 11, and 12 are for. And but I'm trying to become better at what I'm doing in life. And now that I see that I can do that, I'm doing it like this, I want to correct myself. I don't want to get in these places again where I'm feeling the way I'm feeling and have to take this action of making this amends again. And that's what happens just by saying that you're wrong. And it's so powerful. So now you make these appointments and you start reading these letters to people. And once you read these letters to people at the end, you ask for their forgiveness. I believe that's very important, because it humbles you and it stops you from doing what you've been doing repeatedly over and over again. And after you do that, then they either accept or they don't. Now, I have to tell you, out of all the letters, everybody, when I got to the end, I said, for all this, for my part in this, I was wrong. Will you forgive me? Everybody said yes, except for one person. And that one person said no. But you know what was interesting? As I was making my list, my higher power, which I choose to call God today, had that list perfectly, because all 12 of those people said, yes, I forgive you, except for that one. And that one was at the end. Well, by that time, I had done 12 amends. And so by that time, my understanding was, she has a right. If she doesn't want to forgive me, she doesn't have to forgive me. This is not about her. This is about me and me correcting myself and making myself better in life. And I was able to say, okay, I said, and she was looking at me like, you could leave right now. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I just looked at her and I said, I hope you have a nice day. I got up and I left. And when I left, I felt okay, and I knew that I had done the right thing, and there was so much that helped me out of that. So let's jump into the big book. I just wanted to share a little bit about that with you. We're going to jump into the big book, and I'm sure we're going to have to continue on this next week. And I'm going to continue to keep sharing with you about making these amends, because it's very, very important. And then we're going to go into the living amends and the other amends as we're going through all this literature. But on page 82, I would say really and truly, on page 82 in the big book is when it really starts talking about the amends. And it's so interesting. The first two paragraphs, it really gets into the part of, the husband and the wife situation when you're married and you've done this, and the pain of the wife drinking or the husband drinking, whoever was drinking. And remember, no matter what program you're in, you can listen to these videos, because if you're in a 12-step program, anytime you see alcohol, just put your program in there, because the Big Book is the Bible for any 12-step program that you're in, because this is what the steps come from. And all the behaviors are just like this in this program. So you can just take your ism and put that word there, and it will correct your situation as well. And it's funny because it starts off on 82. It says, perhaps there are some cases where the utmost frankness is demanded. And I want to talk about that, because we have to be very careful, especially with our spouses, and the people, our loved ones, and that could be your mother, anybody, that you make sure that you and your sponsor are in agreement that you're not going to injure them and you're not going to injure yourself, because you're there to do one thing, make the amends for your part. You have to be careful, because sometimes if you've hurt people really bad, they feel like that they need more information from you. So you have to be careful that you don't give them more information because they need it. They feel like they need it to feel better, because sometimes people don't realize you give them what they asked for and it makes them feel worse. So you have to really work this with your sponsor and stay close to your sponsor. And I always tell my sponsees that whenever it goes any further than this letter and it starts getting questions like, well, what did you do? How did you do that? Why did you do that? Who is it? Who is she? What does she mean? Any of those types of questions, you have to just cut it off and say, you know what? This is the best that I can do. I just need to make the amends for this part, because you don't want to start becoming too frank on certain issues. But now there are issues that you have to become frank on, and you have to talk them out and be clear, especially, if it has to do with something that you've done, that it could be with the law or something that you have to be frank with, because it has to be clear to make sure that, if there's something that has to be a consequence to it, you have to make sure that you've given the proper information. But trust me, you cannot do this by yourself. You have to have sponsorship. And that's why you should always work the steps with your sponsor or your therapist or someone. You should always have someone to guide you through this. It goes on to say, keep it always in sight that we are dealing with the most terrible human emotion, jealousy. Good generalship may decide that the problem be attacked on the flank rather than risk a face-to-face combat. And I love that, because actually the Big Book talks about this a couple of times. It goes into the fact, it talks about that this word jealousy, and a lot of times in this program, we don't like to think that we're jealous, but we are. And so when you're looking at the word jealousy, and I'm going to look it up for you real quick, and we're going to discuss this because it's very important. And when you look it up, we all have jealousy. And I know people don't like that word. They always say, oh, what is jealousy? I'm not jealous. I'm not a jealous person. Yes, you are. You might not understand it because you don't understand what it means, because that's what happens most of the time in the program. And another thing we do with jealousy is we put it behind expectations, and we say, oh, that's the expectation. No, it wasn't. It was a jealousy. Feelings are showing envy of someone or their achievements or advantages. Feeling are showing suspicion of someone's unfaithfulness in a relationship. It says fiercely protective or violent of one's right or possessions. So, we all have experienced that. And the big book goes on to say here, it says, we are dealing with the most terrible human emotion, jealousy, envious, covetousness, distrust. All this comes into this thing that we're dealing with. And we're trying to, deal with our emotions and everything that we're going through, doing these amends based on the fact that we're kind of uncertain, especially when you're a newcomer. After you've been in the program for a while and you have to do the 10th step and over again, or however you have to do it, then it becomes more prideful that you're not doing it. But at first, it's a lot of jealousy that is keeping you from getting it done. And that's why it's so important that we know what these words mean. It goes on to say, but he is yet a long way from making good to his wife or parents, whom for years he has so shockingly treated. And, it's so important to know that, especially with your close family relatives like that it gets a little tough, because you get kind of shaky, because these are people that you're going to see constantly over and over again. And they might have done things to you first. But remember, we're trying to clean up our side of the street and get better at living life based on the fact of not doing the things repeatedly over and over again, insanity that is causing us so much guilt and fear and shame and all the above things that we're feeling at this point. And these letters that we're getting ready to do, and these men that we're making in step 9, are going to do that for us. Now, I've run out of time, but I'm going to pick up and we're going to continue in the big book next week, okay? So we will continue this until we learn this right, and we get our sponsors and we work through the 9th step and we make these amends and we get our peace back, okay? Anyway, thank you so much for being with me. Thank you so much for all your support. You have just really blessed me by letting me be able to study this and share my experience, strength, and hope with you. And whatever you do, find a group, get a meeting. You can go to Programchild.net and find meetings, and then under that you can find groups. Keep going, fight for yourself, fight for you, fight to get better. You have to fight. Don't stop. It will happen. Sometimes it takes a little longer to get it, but stay in there, hang in there, and you will get better, okay? There's so many people like you, and we're in these rooms, and we're here to help you. So keep coming, keep going to your meetings, and get your sponsor, and get you a sponsor, and take care of yourself. Until we meet again next week, blessings over you today, great people.